provide me your license and your medical card? Yeah. Because in Florida.
That's where all those hunters come out.
There you go.
You had to pay them off?
I have it at the house because it was this big.
Uh-oh.
Well, because the Florida state said we don't have to carry it. But company policy says we do.
There you go.
I found it. I found it yesterday. But it is 5/17/24 is in my DOT physical.
Okay, so we're checking for any restrictions on his license, making sure his license commercial valid. We asked him for his medical card. If you heard what he said, he had it at home. He doesn't have it because Florida doesn't require him to keep it on his possession. That is true by law, but however, for DFA policy, we are requiring all drivers to carry a copy of their medical card on their possession. Again, the reason behind that is drivers are waiting till the last moment to renew their medical, and then if their license expired today and they went down today, their medical expired today and they went down today, and we pull them over next week, DMV has 10 days to get that information updated in the system. If FHP pulls them over, asks for his medical, look up on the system, it's going to say expired. Once it's expired, it's downgraded to a C license, and then now we get that 10-point violation on CSA, operating a commercial vehicle without a CDL. All right. So by having that license or medical card on them, maybe the officer will let them go, because technically the officer has to go by what his computer tells them. But sometimes they let them go and we don't see that violation show up. So that's why we ask them to carry it on their possession. Okay. The next, we're going to ask for the vehicle credentials, so license or registration and insurance. You can leave it in the manual there.
Here's the registration.
All right, so looks like the location has a very nice binder in here. So on the binder, we're looking at if it's a IFTA truck, which this one is, right? So we're looking for the Indiana registration here. Expires on March 31st, 2024. Guess what? It's expired, right? So there's your first citation on the roadside inspection. Okay, we have expired registration. Now we go in and we're going to look at the actual IFTA permit. Okay. We have insurance expires 10/1/24. ELD operating instructions on the vehicle. We have an accident kit or accident card in here in case the driver gets into an accident. He has the information to take down on third parties. They put spare fuses in the book right here. And then also we have a paper DVIR book. Now, if I heard you right, you told me before that this location is all on Samsara. So why do we have paper?
Just in case Samsara goes down.
Okay. All right, so now we have a paper grid or DVIR book, which was from March 18th. Okay, so that kind of marries up to your story. But now we're also asking for a spare grid log book. So do you have a spare grid log book? Yep. So this is a grid log book. Actually, this is another DVIR book. Okay, so we'll try one more time for the grid log book and see if he has that. All right, here's your driver daily logbook. I don't know if anybody is familiar with this or not, but this is a paper grid logbook. So if Samsara goes down, they have to fill out one of these and then turn it in. When they turn it into you, how long do you have to put it in Samsara? 13 days. You guys are paying attention. I like it. All right. All right, I'm just recording the information here that I just looked at, and then we kind of ask him about if he has any hazardous material. Do you have any hazardous material on board today?
No, sir.
No, sir. Right. All right. So right now, you see this is expired right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a copy of that. One thing we want to do, especially for fleet who maintains those books, is we want to take out all the old expired documentation. I can't tell you how many times I go in and I open up that book and I have years of insurance cards, registration. All it's going to do is confuse the officer. If the driver turns it over, the officer's not going to do the work for the driver. And if he's fumbling around and can't find it, you're going to get written up for it. So let's just alleviate all of that. When they replace it with a new document, take out all the old expired one and get rid of them. All right. Now we're going to ask for the safety equipment on board. So we're going to look for spare fuses. We saw them in the book. Triangles, reflectors. Okay. Okay, while I'm up in the truck, we check the triangle reflectors, the fire extinguisher is secured and charged up. And then we're also checking for the cleanliness of the vehicle. And we're making sure that their company name and DOT number markings are on the door. Remember, if a vehicle is in our fleet as a rental, how long do you have before you need the markings on it?
30 days.
30 days. You guys are good. All right. Next, do we have a spill kit? Fuel spill kit. I see it right there, okay? So fuel spill kit. We got that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to proceed with the inspection. So we're going to have the driver actually sit in the vehicle. Yep, we got it. I'm going to have you operate the vehicle for me. So go ahead up in the vehicle, go ahead and turn off your flashers and turn on all your lights for me. We start out in the front of the vehicle, just like a driver would do his pre-trip inspection. We look underneath the vehicle and make sure there's no oil dripping or any fluid dripping on the ground. And now we're going to look at the lights, make sure all the lights are working properly. We have them turn on his turn signal right, left, high beams. Okay, we're all good on that. So now we're going to kind of open up the hood of the vehicle. I'm going to have you stay in the truck, Richard, because I'm going to have you operate it. So I don't need you to start it up. Okay, right now he has to start the vehicle up because we're going to check the steering components. It's power steering, so in order for power steering to work, the truck has to be on. So we're going to have you start the vehicle. I'm going to have him rock his steering wheel back and forth. I'm checking for movement in the pitman arm and the drag links to see if there's any worn out components or parts. Go ahead and rock the steering wheel back and forth. We're checking right here in the pitman arm, the drag link, the steering shaft, and the actual clutch. Okay, we can shut it off. When I'm looking at these components and we're looking at them moving while he's turning, if anything is popping up and down like this, they're going to be worn out ball joints, right? So we're only looking for movement like this. If we see any movement in this pitman arm here and that's not tight, that's automatically out of service. If we see shininess where this tire is touching any components of the steering, that's out of service. If we see any components, and sometimes this bracket right here is broken and these wires are resting on the steering arm, that's out of service. Nothing can be touching the steering arm, okay? Now this is a proper use of our zip tie program. Once in a while you'll find one that works right, correctly, right? All right, we also check the tires for tread depth. How much on the front? 430 seconds tread. Okay, then we check lug nuts on the front and looking for any signs of rust or cracks, any kind of fluid leaking from the hub seal. We actually lean over the tire now. We're going to look at the actual brake linings on the inside of the tire. We're good there. And now we're gonna have him apply the brakes, and I'm gonna see how far that push rod moves out to check the brakes adjustment. Brake. Okay. So that moved out maybe about an inch and a quarter. We're still good on the brake adjustment on the front. So we're in good shape there. We're also listening when he steps on the brake for any air leaks. So very easy to hear that. So like I said, I was at La Vaquita. 3 out of 4 were out of service because as soon as he stepped on the brake, all the air was coming out of the foot pedal valve. Okay. Also, while we're checking in here, any hose chafing or loose brackets, making sure that the caps are on and dipsticks are in, and any other signs of rust or any loose bolts or contamination. And also the suspension, making sure there's no cracks in the leaf springs and suspension. Once we kind of look over that, we're going to go on the other side of the vehicle. We're going to do the same check on the right side. Okay. Mirrors are good. Not broken or cracked. Okay, over here, checking the hose lines. No chafing, no cracks. We're looking at the exhaust system. The exhaust system, any signs of black soot is an indication that the exhaust is actually leaking, and you'd see that on the exhaust pipe. All right, we're gonna have them step on the brake again. So brake. Okay, same size, so 1 1/4 inches, so we're good on this. Tires are in good shape. Brake linings are in good shape. No cracks on the leaf springs, no leaks on the exhaust. Check in the windshield for any cracks. And then looking at the lug nuts again, making sure they're not loose, no signs of cracks or rust, and no hub seal leaking. Right here is the annual inspection sticker on the vehicle. We have to record the annual inspection, and on here we have January 24th of 24. So 1/24, and that's good for 1 year. Okay, so that's proof of their annual inspection right here. This is the one that you have 10 violations on roadside inspections right here, right? That's the easy layup right there. We could get rid of 10 violations and 10 points just like that if we just get the annual inspections done on time. Again, the name on the door and the markings, the IFTA sticker for current sticker. We wrote the unit number down because we record that for the audit on the template. And then we open up the vehicle, looking on the inside for the cleanliness of the vehicle, make sure there's no bottles laying around or garbage. Also looking at the mirrors here as well and the windshield. Coming back here, looking at the fuel tank. On the fuel tank here, making sure there's no loose bolts or components, and we have the line. That's the cord I'm talking about, where you pull it and the water will come out if they're not draining the tanks well. So that's where it is on the behind this fuel tank on this truck. Making sure the catwalks are kind of tight and secure to the vehicle. Okay, and as we walk around, making sure no lines are resting on the catwalk or chafing. And now we get to the rear tires, which is how much tread? 230 seconds. If you take a little penny and you put Lincoln head on it and it catches his head, then you're still good. If you could see the top of his head, then the tire's below 230 seconds, right? Okay, checking the lug nuts again here. Looking for any signs of rust, cracks. Okay, and now we have the sliding fifth wheel. Sliding fifth wheel, and making sure our stop brackets on the front and back are secured and they're not bent or out of place. And then looking at the suspension, making sure the bolts are secure, not loose or cracked or rusted out. Okay. Lug nuts here on the second dual axle. Coming back, checking tires, make sure there's no flat tire, and making sure there's no nail in the tire. We have a nail right there in the tire. You guys can come back here and see that. But you'll see a nail right there in the tire. That should be written up on the pre-trip inspection form. So as you're going to walk back to the back of the vehicle, take a look at the nail right here in the tire. On the mud flaps, making sure there's mud flaps and there's conspicuity tape on the mud flap, as well as conspicuity tape all the way down the trailer. We had a problem in Houston, and it's with their power wash company. and their power wash cleaning company is getting so close to these that it's ripping them off and it's ripping the letters off the truck. So in Houston, DFA was missing and one of the DOT numbers was missing. It was blown off the truck from the pressure washers. So you got to have a talk with your pressure washers if they're washing their trucks and they're pressure washing decals right off of them. Moving on down, checking the landing gear, making sure it's secure, not loose. Conspicuity tape all the way down. Don't forget to look at the nail on your way there, on the way back. Okay, we're checking the lug nuts here, same as on the front axles. Okay, and looking at any hose lines that could be laying down, hanging, chafed. Now, without going underneath the truck and doing a level 1 inspection, a driver may look through here and he can look at these hose lines that are there, and you could see one of the hose lines crossing the other one like that, and it's rubbing on the other hose. If I was doing a level 1, I'm underneath there, I'd spread those hoses apart, and a good chance I'm going to find chafing and it's going to be rubbing through the airline. So when you go through here, take a look right through here and you'll see where those hoses are rubbing right there. Making sure all the rivets are good all the way down the trailer. Again, checking the tires, lug nuts, hub seals for any leaks. Checking the support brackets and the locking pins on the tandems. You'll see 2 pins on each side that are coming out. Sometimes, believe it or not, as drivers unlock those pins, they never reset them in, and sometimes trailers come in without the pins locked, and if they're not locked properly, you could lose the whole set of tandem axles and they'll just fly right out the back of the truck. Okay, checking the marker lights here, and now we're into the back of the vehicle. We're looking at the conspicuity tape on the rear end protection. So technically, what do we have here? We had a couple of things. We had axle number 3, right inside tire now. And we have hose chafing at axle number 2 on the trailer, center. And we have conspicuity tape worn or damaged. They could actually kind of write it up for all the dirt and grime that's on that conspicuity tape on the rear end protection. Okay, we're looking at the top left and right of the trailer. A lot of times when they wrap trailers, they cover up those reflective markers on the top left and right, so that would be a finding. Making sure their marker lights are working correctly. And now we're going to check the brakes. Brake. Okay, brake lights are on. Okay, signal left. Got to turn the key on. Signal left. Okay, right. All the way down, it works. Okay, we're also checking the license plate light, making sure that works. And now everybody come to this side, because this is an important part. This is something that we're getting written up on roadside inspections, and it's our ABS light malfunction. Okay? When he steps on the brake with the key off, he steps on the brake, this light has to come on. So turn your key off. Brake. You see how that comes on? Okay? So that means it's working right. Okay? If he stepped on the brake and that light didn't come on, the trailer's out of service. We've actually seen multiple write-ups on this on our CSA scorecard for that violation. I'm not here to find the root cause, but we know in one location it had to do with a particular type of vehicle and the cords that they were using, and one of the cords was not correct. And so instead of having 7 prongs, it only had 6, and the ABS wasn't working because of that. That was one root cause of it. Okay, another one is that the cords aren't plugged in tight enough. So if they had that tag, remember the one I showed you with the tag put in because it's loose? If they're loose and they vibrate out, then the ABS doesn't work, and you're going to get an out of service violation if that doesn't work when the officer asks them to step on the brake. Okay. As we come back down the side of the trailer, conspicuity tape, tires, make sure there's no flat tires. Again, checking the lug nuts here, making sure there's no leaks in the wheel hub seal. And now as we go through, we're looking also across the trailer for any kind of defects. So you can see actually the brake linings from across here, as well as any hose line chafing. Again, the sliding tandem pins and the brackets that secure the rail to the frame. All right, coming on back. Last set. Almost last set. We got the tractor too. No leaks here. Okay. Now we're going to kind of walk on down here to the fuel tank. Now, we're not looking for this anymore because we were told not to, but we're having trouble getting these stickers for the reefer fuel tanks. And these are spec stickers that have to be on the fuel tanks. And it seems that we're having a problem getting correct stickers for these. Okay. I'm not so sure why it's a DFA issue, but I do this for many other companies that have reefer units and other dairy companies as well, and they all have this in place. So I'm not sure what the gap is on that, but we're going to continue to work to try to figure that out and fix that. Because you'll go around this yard and we'll see a lot of trailers that have this sticker missing. Okay, over here we're looking at the landing gear. If we see this hanging down like that, that's going to be a violation. The drivers have to have these secured in here. Sometimes they break these and Fleet puts on one and they put on the wrong size one, and this one can't even hook on to the bracket. All right, so you want to make sure that that's always up there like that. The landing gear is secured, mud flaps are good, conspicuity tape. Now checking the last set of tires here for tread depth. Lug nuts, sliding tandem fifth wheel, looking at the tires, making sure there's no nails in the tires. Okay, coming back down to the final part of the trailer, looking for the annual inspection sticker. It was done March 13th, 24. So we're good on the annual inspections. So here's a bolt that's missing right here. You see the bolt right here missing on that box? So this is the electrical cord box that's secured. That bolt is missing right there. That's how particular you have to be. And that's how we got to get our drivers coached up to this kind of level. When they see one bolt missing, they got to write that up. When we get to that level, we're on our way to a world-class safety program. All right? And it's possible. I see it at some companies who really work hard on this pre-trip, post-trip inspection and getting buy-in from everybody, from the driver to fleet to management to supervisors. And once you get all of that buy-in and change that culture, you're going to see drivers writing stuff up like this. And then we got to fix it. The worst thing that we could actually have is a driver tell me in the gate check, I don't write this up anymore because I always write stuff up and they never fix it. So I'm just tired of writing it up. And they tell me, and I'll ask them questions on the gate check for that. Because I got to marry up what they're telling me to see what the evidence supports in Samsara. And if I hear that, that's not good for you guys, because that's a bad culture, and we got to change that culture. Okay, here's your springs on the glad hands right here. Okay, and then making sure that these lines are not touching the catwalk. Here's another spring, another cord here to drain the air tank. Okay, making sure all these tanks are secure. Now that. This, I can't undo it with my hand, but it's loose. You could hear that. You hear it? Okay? So they need to tighten this bracket up a little tighter. because eventually it's going to keep getting loose, and then this tank is going to fly right out of here, out of the holder. Okay? That's why I mean drivers got to touch things, right? If you just looked at it, it looks fine. When you hit it, you could tell it's loose, right? Also, making sure the tank is secure under here. Coming back to the truck again, we'll have the driver go ahead and put on his wipers. Horn. Defroster. Okay, I could hear that. Okay, is there anything wrong with your truck that you know of right now?
This one?
Yeah, everything's good?
Alright. The only thing I did tell him about that tank.
All right, if there was a defect in your on your vehicle, how do you communicate it to the shop?
First, I write it, put it in the same series
Okay.
on the post strip,
Yeah.
and then I personally go to the shop and I talk to somebody in the shop and say, "This is what's wrong with my truck."
Okay. If I looked up your name in Samsara in the last 90 days, would I see anything written up? Yeah. So you do write it in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like the details on the TG lead,
Yeah.
they were faded on me.
Yeah.
I kept that to John, and they put it in for PM, and we put 2 new details on my truck.
Okay.
They know I'm very particular.
Are you? All right. So we have a couple things that are wrong with your vehicle. I'm gonna have you come down. I'll show you. So I interview the driver to see what he says, and now I'm gonna match up what he says to what the evidence says in Samsara. So if he tells me, and the right answer is to put everything in Samsara.